Hey, happy Friday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. Today is Friday, March 22nd, 2019. This is episode 271 of The Daily Dope. So, welcome aboard. Thank goodness it is Friday, huh? Yes, kick back, get ready for a nice weekend. So, I do want to point out, no shows for most of next week. So, I will talk about that in just a few minutes, but do want to mention that this is a live stream. If you are watching live, by all means, feel free to say hello. If you've got a question, feel free to ask. Tonight, I am going to share a bit of a how to play, as well as review Call to Adventure from Brotherwise Games. So this is a brand new game, just recently came out. It is a storytelling game, and we will kind of discuss how you play it, and I will review it as well. So that's coming up in just a few moments. Do want to mention, as I was saying, chat is available on YouTube. Chat is not on screen, so it's one of the ways that I kind of keep some of the stranger commenters at bay. And I do pay attention to the chat, though. So if you do chime in, I will respond. So there you have it. Do want to mention, yesterday I talked about how I was going to be doing away with the tabletop gaming news because I needed to shorten the shows up a little bit. Because I know for a fact when people are seeing the Daily Dope episodes pop up, and let's say for an example, it was the Witcher RPG review, and people look and they see it says, hey, yeah, it's like an hour and 13 minutes long. People are like, I'm not clicking on that because I see there's a review that's like 8 minutes long. I'm going to watch that 8-minute one. So I said yesterday, yeah, I'm going to do away with the tabletop gaming news to shorten it up. Well, I'll tell you what, everybody is giving me a hard time about doing that. So fine, I will not get rid of the tabletop gaming news. There is none today. Okay, so there is no tabletop gaming news today. There probably will not be any on Monday either, because Monday's show is actually going to be pre-recorded. So I see Kabuki Kid is popping up, and so is Nefarious Coel. Cool deal. Who are you calling strange commentators? You'd be surprised. That's one of the reasons why I don't stream on Twitch. Because I was doing YouTube and Twitch simultaneously, right? And one of the reasons I don't like Twitch is if you're not a partner, then you can only stream at like 3,500 kilobits per second, right? So kind of low, not really great quality, right? Not like this is fantastic, like 4K or anything like that, but so that was one of the things I didn't like. The other thing I didn't like is I got some weird people popping into chat, and you know, I had a few people popping in thinking that this was a stoner show because it's called The Daily Dope. So they assumed it was all about dope. I had a few other people that came on, and they were like acting like they were like 10 years old, and like, you know, poopy this, poopy that. It was like, give me a break. So I do not stream on Twitch anymore. Number one, because I don't like the 3,500 kilobits per second, but also because the commenters were like super bizarre, and I don't have anybody to moderate the chat. So it'd be one thing if I had a moderator in chat to be like, yeah, okay, nice going, dummy, kick. But anyway, so tonight I am going to be jumping in and showing you how to play Call to Adventure and do a review as well. Do want to mention, if you're watching the video and you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you check out some of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel and you like them, by all means, please subscribe. Ring that bell, because that bell will not only notify you when a new video has been uploaded or added, it'll also tell you when I go live. Although I have to admit, I hear from everybody it's about a 5 to 10 minute delay as far as being notified that the stream is live. So, hey, that's how it goes. That is how it works. Anyway, so I should also point out, if you happen to like the show, or if you like the gaminggang.com, be sure to tell a friend. Can't beat word of mouth. That works very, very nicely. Have to admit, went over to Alexa.com today. That's got nothing to do with with Alexa. Like, hey Alexa, play me whatever song. But it's actually, Alexa is a website that you can actually check out. Let me move this. The mic got bumped a little bit. I was messing around with some lighting today. Anyway, I was going to say that Alexa is a website that you can check to see like the popularity of various different websites. And usually the Gaming Gang is within like the top million worldwide, and within like around about 350,000 in the US, which is actually really, really good, because there are hundreds of millions of websites out there. So the Gaming Gang is actually in like the top 0.25% traffic wise. So pretty cool. So today I actually took a look, and I think it's for the first time ever cracked 300,000. I want to say, I think it was showing in the top 280,000 websites in the US. So, all right, so let's see. I'm surprised you haven't made my Amazon Echo Spy Puck start flipping out. Nope, not yet. So I'll stop saying that word, so nobody's Echo starts freaking out. Although I have to laugh. My best friend, Elliot Miller, when he's always like, hey Google, hey Google, hey Google, and it's like, just ask the question, man. You don't have to say, hey Google. So, anyway, all right. So, before I jump into the how to play in the review, let me grab Lil Whiz Bub down real quick, because, yes, if you're a fan of the Gaming Gang, if you watch the Daily Dope, you know that this is a non-profit organization here. So, if you happen to like the website, or you like the show, or you like the channel, because it's not always all about the show, please consider making a donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund at the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Yes, this is a grant that actually sends money out to organizations that care for special needs animals who are awaiting forever homes. They're awaiting adoption. So Lil Bub's a pretty fascinating cat. She is about 7 or 8 years old. She's got all these crazy genetic things that were wrong with her that actually the cat should not even be around. But she's got a wonderful owner, the dude, and the rest of the dude's family. And just a sweet cat. Very, very funny. I should point out, if you want to find out more about Lil Bub, go to lilbub.com. The Lil Bub store is back up. The store was down for about a month. But I got my my Lil Bub cup, which I don't use all that much, because it's a smaller cup. It's like for coffee, right? So I tend to use my Gen Con pizza cup here. All right, Ghost Wolf's popping in. There you go. The hunt for Bubtober. Red Bubtober. Lil Bubhotep. There you go. Nice one, Nefarious. Lil Bubhotep. That's a pretty wild movie. Actually, I want to say Dynamite Comics has a Army of Darkness, Bubba Hotep crossover going on right now. Looks wacky. All right, so as I mentioned, I am going to be taking a look at Call to Adventure from Brotherwise Games. It's designed by Chris and Johnny O'Neill, with artwork provided by Matt Paquette. The game is for 1 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, plays in around 30 to 60 minutes, it does carry an MSRP of $39.95. This is available out right now. This is out now. So you can get your hands on it. So let's move on over to the other camera here. So I've kind of got things kind of squeezed in a little bit because I'm going to kind of show off the different aspects of the game. I will zoom in so we can get a better look at the cards and things like that. So Call to Adventure is a kind of a storytelling game. So you're going to utilize these cards. You're going to create a hero, and you're going to lead that hero to their destiny. And that's going to go through 3 different acts. You're going to actually tell a story with this hero, or possibly anti-hero. So, hey, Flaming Heron's in. Sad to see I'm dropping the news. I can see the need for a shorter bit-sized episode. Yeah. Well, Flaming Heron, I have been getting just tagged by everybody saying, no, don't get rid of the news, please. So I won't. No news today, no news Monday, but I will keep doing the news. Yeah, I know. So if for me to do this, then that means people out there have to help spread the news about the website, about the channel itself. All right, so anyways, Call to Adventure. Kind of flipping this over. So it's craft your hero, choose your path, claim your destiny. There are a couple of expansions that are on the horizon. Name of the Wind and Stormlight. I have not seen anything with this yet, but yeah, this has about 150 cards in the game itself. I'm going to open this up real quick, so I'm going to show you. So each of the players are going to have a player board, and I'll show you that in just a sec. But it's got a nice insert for storage, because there are these runes that you're going to cast. You're not rolling dice, you're casting runes. So casting the runes, there's a little tray that's off here on the side. You can see right there. That actually slips in here. So actually everything fits together really nicely. And then of course you cover the runes up with this little plastic top. So let's get this box out of the way here. So the game is for 1 to 4 players. It's mainly designed for 2 to 4. It's mainly a bit of a confrontational game as far as all the players. There's a little bit of take that going on with the players. There are variant rules for you to be able to play solitaire, and there are variant rules for you to play cooperatively. Although I do have to point out that it does not operate as a traditional co-op game. You're not teaming up to do things in the co-op version of this. The co-op version of it is basically, I don't mess with you. I'm not messing with the other players. We're all looking to try to defeat the baddies, but I'm not going to mess with you. So when it's said that there's a cooperative aspect to the game, or a co-op mode to the game, keep in mind, it's not cooperative in the way that most people think of a cooperative game. Let's see. So, Nefarious Coel, I gotta confess, I've forgotten to use your drive-thru RPG referral link to purchase stuff twice now. You know, why did you tell me that? It's like, jeez, you don't need to confess anything to me. Anyway, we're so demanding and love the news because I must admit I'm someone who loves being read to. Yeah, that's pretty funny. So, yeah, this game does have quite a bit to offer. So we've got these different acts. So we've got the first act, second act, third act. I'm blocking off the cards a little bit on the acts there. We've got these different runes. We've got some markers here that we're going to utilize as well on the player boards, which I'll explain and I'll show you. So let's get these runes out of the way here, because I'll get back to those in just a moment. All right, so we've got these different cards. So first off, let's take a look here at the player board. And you know what? I'll zoom in a little bit for this so we can get a better view. Okay, so we've got the player board here. So on the player board, we are going to have 3 cards that are going to determine what is this hero or anti-hero kind of like, right? So we're going to have an origin story here. So we're going to have an origin card. Then we're going to have a motivation card. And then we're going to have a destiny card. So the origin and motivation are going to be face up. So everybody can see exactly what that is. Now, the third card is actually face down. You know what it is, but the other players won't. So you know what you're trying to do what you're looking to achieve in the end, because it'll usually give you like bonus points. So to give you an example, you're going to start off and each of the players are going to receive 2 origin cards. Then we've got, oops, wrong order. So we've got 2 origin cards. We've got 2 motivation cards. And then we're going to have 2 destiny cards. And what you're going to get to do is you're going to select one of each. It's important that these are dealt out at the same time. You don't want to accidentally say, okay, well, first I give you the 2 origin cards, you're going to pick one. Then you get 2 motivation cards, you pick one of those. And then you get the 2 destiny cards, pick one of those. The reason why is because you want to look at all of these at the same time and see if anything kind of meshes together. Okay, so to kind of give you an example, right? So first off, our origin, we've either got a noble. Whoops, do that. We'll give you the noble, or we have a student. So to kind of show you how these cards work, these are the different runes, right? So right here, you're going to see these 3 runes here. You're always going to use these. These runes are always in play. So whenever you have to throw runes, which is like rolling your dice, right? You're going to throw runes. You're going to always have these 3. Now, if I take the noble, I'm also going to get 1 point of strength and 1 point of charisma. So it's color coded, right? And it also has a symbol. So each of the like attributes. So it's almost like a role-playing game, right? So there's the 6 attributes. There's strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, right? That we're all used to having in a role-playing game for our characters. So with this, you're going to have points of this. So if I take the noble, then I'm going to have strength and charisma. I also get a special ability whenever I gain an ally or a story card that has a crown, I'm going to gain 2 experience points. These plastic tokens here, these are experience points. I thought that was kind of funny how we get these little plastic experience points. Now, the experience points are used as a currency, and they are also used for points at the end of the game. Yes, once Nefarious was the student and someone else was the master, but we know how that's going to change, right? So for an example here, if we look at the student, now the student's going to get intelligence and wisdom are the 2 runes that they're going to have a point in. Then it says, during a challenge, if at least one of your runes shows a result of intelligence or wisdom, you're going to gain an experience point. Now, the experience points are important because you're going to use experience points to buy things. Sometimes you'll have a trait that you need to spend experience points to get. You can spend experience points to actually discard a card from the act for the story cards. You also use experience points to purchase dark runes. Yes, the dark runes. The power of the dark side. That red plastic looks like something I threw up after a long night of drinking whiskey. Come on, Nefarious. It doesn't look like that. Anyway, okay, so we've got these runes there. So let's see what we've got here as far as our motivation. Tempted by darkness. Okay, so right there, that'd be, so I'm going to be playing somebody who's trying to be kind of a villain or thrill seeker. Okay, so we've got those options there. And that just gives you a special ability, okay? So we've got that. And then this, remember, this is going to be played face down. I've got Mighty Conqueror. So at the end of the game, I'm going to get 2 points for each of the strength that I've got, that I've been able to earn, and 1 for each of the Constitution. Took me a second here. Constitution and Dexterity. So that's that. And then we got Wise Master. So at the end of the game, if I have 4 experience points or more that I've saved, I'm going to get 5 points. And I'm going to get 1 point for each of the Wisdom. So what I might consider doing is, if I don't necessarily want to be kind of a drawn by darkness, you know, tempted by the darkness character, I might decide, okay, I'm going to take a Wise Master. So I would place that face down, but I'm actually going to play it face up so you can see it. Thrill Seeker and Student. Because right now, I already have 1 Wisdom. So that's going to give me the opportunity for that 1 Wisdom. So these cards would be discarded back into the box. In fact, once the players all have their characters with their origin, their motivation, as well as their destiny, all these cards are going to be put away. So these will be out of play. So I'm going to move that, get these out of the way. I'm going to move this over a little bit. So I'm going to show you the rest of this player board. Whoop, moved it over a little too much. So as I mentioned before, we've got light and dark. So we're going to actually track that. So this little sun icon is the side of light. So that's a good hero. Now we see here, when we see like the moon, this starts moving us down into the anti-hero category. Now you can be like down here and still be kind of considered that you're an anti-hero, sort of like an Elric of Melniboné kind of character, right? Where you're an anti-hero, but you're actually still heroic. Whereas if you end up going all the way down here, and you would actually flip that over so it's like that, you'd be losing points at the end of the game. And you'll notice here, it's going to show you if we've got hero or anti-hero. So this represents a hero card. This represents an anti-hero card, which I'm actually covering up at the moment here. So it's also going to show you, all right, so with these runes, anything that's got a slash, that counts as a success. Now, anytime that you're utilizing one of the attribute runes, then you've got a slash and you've also got a symbol, right? So showing the symbol right there for wisdom. This counts as 2 successes. That's 1 success. This counts as 2 successes. Now, you also have a special. This is the wisdom one here. This is a special rune, but you only get to throw this rune if you have a value of 3 or higher for that attribute. So each of them has one. So the wisdom, you could get this, where this tells you get to draw a hero card. This would simply count as 2 successes. And depending on the attribute, so for an example, if we look at, let's go to strength, right? So if we go to strength, we've got, that's just regular, that's just regular, that's the special. So the special here would mean, oh, you gain an experience point. If it has a dark triangle, that dark triangle means you draw an anti-hero card. Now, we've got these dark runes. So you can purchase these dark runes. Yeah, there we go, right. Kabuki Kid's right. Yes, Nefarious with the long night of drinking whiskey comment. Yes, that was one of the strange comments I was talking about earlier. Ghost World says, basically you're lawful evil in D&D terms. No, lawful evil is still you're a bad guy. You're a villain. And I don't want to say chaotic neutral because you are still kind of... Hey, honestly, the way I look at it, there in some of the stories, you know, Conan is actually an anti-hero. He's not necessarily a good guy in all of the Conan stories. Anyway, so let's go back up here. So anyway, so we're going to have these dark runes. Now, you can always purchase dark runes with an experience point. So if you end up getting this side come up, it's just a success. If this side comes up, it's 2 successes, which is good, except it's going to count dropping you down, which you don't necessarily want to be doing. This won't drop you down. This will just be a success, and there's no penalty as far as that. So, if a dual triangle comes up, you get to choose either a hero or anti-hero card. And as I pointed out, this is already, this counts as being a 2 successes, 1 success. All right, so I'm going to move this out of the way here. Oops, as that stuck to it. So each of the players, as I mentioned, you're going to start off with your cards here. So I'm going to zoom back out so we see everything again, but I'm going to show off some of these cards. So you're going to have this set up. Each player will also get 3 experience points for them to be able to spend, and they're going to get a hero card. So we got these hero cards and we got the anti-hero cards. So these are simply cards that you have the ability to play. Sometimes they'll have something specific, like a timing for it. So Nefarious says, yeah, Conan always seems to be out for himself. Yeah, pretty much. By Crom. So, kind of give me an example here, right? So, Divine Favor. Play this before you attempt a challenge. Add an extra Wisdom or Charisma rune to your attempt. Okay, so you would basically just be able to play this. So, the timing for this is before you attempt a challenge. And I'll show you the challenges in a sec. Something else we could have would be Inner Strength. Here's another one. Play this before you attempt a challenge. Add extra Strength or Constitution to your attempt. Then we got stuff where you can, you'll mess with other players. Now, usually the messing with other players comes from the anti-hero cards. So in like Lee Alliance, choose another hero to gain 1 little bit burst of sun, one point of goodness. You can add their runes to the next challenge you attempt this turn. So usually this is all kind of good stuff. Good stuff for you, even sometimes good stuff for other players. Now, the anti-hero tends to be where you're messing with other players. So here, Sabotage. Play this after another hero has attempted to challenge. They must attempt it again. Desperate Rage. For each of the dark in your story, this is tragedy. It's a tragedy point. For each tragedy point in your story, gain +1 to your next challenge attempt this turn. So, Fateful Choice. Play this during a challenge. We got Bend the Rules. Play this during a challenge you are attempting. Choose 1 rune and flip it over. So, you'll have these different cards. You're never going to have a ton of these cards, but you will have some of these cards. Or other cards that you get that you don't necessarily start using until you're playing cooperatively or solitaire is these are the adversaries. These are adversary cards. So once you get the gist of the game, you're supposed to add allies and adversaries into these decks. So you have allies in Act 1 and 2, and then you have adversaries showing up in Acts 2 and 3. And they're effectively just challenges. All right, so, but we're not talking about the solitaire or the co-op right now. We're just talking about the standard game. So you won't actually be using these. So let's take a look here. So we've got Act 1, right? So I'm going to push these Act 1 cards up because you're going to reveal 4 cards if you're playing 2 or 3 players, and 5 cards if you were... Oh, let's push these up a little higher. You would have 5 cards if you were playing with 4 players. So the breakdown of these cards, these are what are called story cards. So if you see that the story card has a top area and a bottom area, that is going to tell you that is a challenge. It'll also have a number here. It's going to have a challenge number. So all of these that are out right now are all challenges. So if it were my turn, I could sit there and it's going to show you, okay, these are the runes that you get in it, as well as the 3 that you automatically start off with, these 3 here, right? So for an example, here we've got dexterity and intelligence. Here we've got intelligence and charisma, dexterity and charisma, strength and constitution. So if you remember, my character here has intelligence and wisdom automatically already. So I would say, well, so there's intelligence there's intelligence there, nothing, and nothing. So I'm either going to look at Uncover Hidden Lore or Learn Dark Secrets. Now remember, if I were going the anti-hero route, I would probably want Learn Dark Secrets. And also Arcane Ability and Sorceress Talent. So these are like the light up top. These are the dark down below. So these are heroes. These are anti-heroes. And you can have a mix. You can have a mix of these. So, which a lot of times you kind of have to, because especially if you're using some like the dark runes and stuff, and it's pushing this chart, it's pushing your marker down, right? Because once you get to here, you're going to get, so if you're at here, you're going to get 4 points of tragedy. 4 points of tragedy. This would get you 0 points, and then if you go all the way down here, then that means, well, you're going to be negative points at the end of the game. So you usually want to be from here up. Although you can get pushed further down, there's ways to get you back up. So just to kind of give you an example there. So you can have good and bad. And yes, Kabuki Kid's like chaotic neutral. Yeah, pretty much, you could. So as an example, let's say, okay, cool, I'm going to go for Uncover Hidden Lore. So I've got my 3 that I'm always going to play with. And then I'm going to take my intelligence. And you always make sure that you're taking a normal rune, right? That you don't accidentally grab this one, right? This is the special rune. This is only available to you if you have 3 or more intelligence, which I had mentioned before. So I would have 4 runes here. Now in the book, interestingly enough, I thought it was nice that they put in a little rune probability. So if you're looking at your regular runes plus 1 dark or ability rune, you're probably going to get, at minimum, 1 success. On average, you're going to get 3. The max is 5. Well, I need to get 4 to be able to successfully complete this. Now, there are times that you'll notice, depending on if it's heroic or anti-hero or anti-heroic, there might be a +1 on there, which means it's going to be higher. Yes, we're going to cast the bones. So is this going to tell us where the fallen star is? Yes, let's see if anybody actually catches that reference there. Okay, so we're going to try to uncover hidden lore. And you know what? I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm going to spend an experience point, and I'm going to take one of the dark runes here. So let's toss these, baby. Okay, so we got that, and then we get this, right? So this here says I can choose either a hero card or an anti-hero card. Whenever you cast the runes, whenever you toss the bones here, if you get something that tells you you can draw a card, you get to draw the card right away. So I could say, okay, boom, I'm taking a hero card. Take a look to see what it says. If you overcame a challenge this turn without using dark runes, no, I'm going to hang on to that, right? So I couldn't be able to use it. But the thing is, if it's something I could use, I can play it right then and there. So when you see that it says draw a card, you're going to draw that card right now before you complete the challenge. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Remember, this is good for 2, right? So that's 5. I am actually going to succeed. Kabuki Kid says, Piers Anthony. No. Neil Gaiman. I'll give you a hint. It's a movie. So I've got 5. I needed 4, so I'm going to get this. So I'm going to actually get this. So what you do then is you're going to take the card. You're going to slip the card like so, right? Because I went for the heroic aspect of it. So now I'm going to have this sitting here. So this shows that I've got an intelligence, a wisdom, and now I've got a dexterity, and I've got a story. I've got a little story icon. Now, only one story icon. Bang! Very good, Kabuki Kid. It is Stardust. With this story icon, just one of them in my story, which the whole story is going to be all 3 of these, aren't good for anything. But when you start getting more of them, you are going to actually be able to score extra points. So we've got a little score sheet that you're going to use at the end of the game. But to give you an example, if you have 2 story icons, matching story icons, it's worth 2. If you have 3, it's going to be worth 4 points. And if you have 4, you'll actually get 8 points. It's pretty tough to get 4, but it is possible to be able to do that. Now, the other thing that we have to keep in mind too is, remember, I got a dual success. I would have to drop down to here. Now, thankfully, I can still play hero and anti-hero cards. Now, if I were up here, I can only play hero cards. If I'm down here, I can only play anti-hero. But I am right here at this point. So the next thing that you would end up doing is you would add another story card. Just like so. And then you can do a few other things. You can spend an experience point if you want to discard one of these cards and replace it with a different card. So it's possible that if you're paying attention to what your opponent's hero is set up as, you'll be like, oh, well, no, I don't want them getting the train as a spy or train as a killer. So I'm going to spend one of my experience points. I'm going to get rid of this and replace it with a different card. Here we go. Now we finally get a trait. So traits are a little different. These are crooked now. Traits are a little different than challenges because traits can be acquired in different ways. So really, let's say it was my next turn and this was here. And I'd say, okay, it says you cannot gain this if you have any tragedy. Well, I don't have any tragedy in my story yet. So I could say, okay, cool, I'm going to take this. And I would take that trait, or ability, I guess I should say. No, I think it's called trait. If I remember right, it is a trait. And now I would have something like this for my hero, right? So now I've got this little story icon, plus wisdom, dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom. So now I have 2 points of wisdom. So if I go do a wisdom challenge, then I get to use 2 of the wisdom runes, as long as it's not the special one, and so on and so forth. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to continue taking turns with each of the players. So they're going to be playing hero cards and anti-hero cards to both improve what you're doing, like your challenges and gaining stuff from challenges and things like that, and playing cards that kind of make things more difficult for your other players. There's not a ton of take that, just a little bit. If some people are super sensitive to getting picked on in games, yeah, I would say shy away from this. But the reality, nah, I mean, it didn't bother me. It's just part of the game. But that's how I always look at games. I like a little take that. I like to be able to kind of, throw a wrench into the plans of the other players. So one thing I should point out too is, let's say, for an example, let's grab a new challenge here. Let's say, okay, steal to survive or forage for food. So let's say I was like, oh, okay, so I steal to survive and I roll my runes and I get, let's say it's just that, right? Okay, so I got one, here I'm doing this. I got one success. Okay, so I failed. So I failed at that challenge. So if you notice here, it's got that one, still to survive. So that would have meant that this is a 1 point of tragedy. But so anyway, so I failed this. So if I fail a challenge, I get an experience point. So failure gets you experience points. And then what you do is you're going to discard this challenge and replace it. Now there are cards that can be played by your opponents that'll say, "Oh well, if a player fails their challenge, play this card for you to accept that challenge, to try that challenge yourself." So, but normally, if you fail, you get an experience point, and then you're going to discard and add a new card here. So here we've got an ally. This is perfect. This is the next thing I was going to talk about are the allies. So when you draw an ally, the person who draws it is going to place this ally card with one of the challenges that are already out here. So we have a Master of Arms here. And usually what a Master of Arms is going to do, well, I should say what an ally is going to do, it's going to give you a bonus if you either spend a point of experience or if you sacrifice the ally. Now there are some like motivations that will not really, allies don't help you that well. Like you're just a loner. So usually you'll be able to hang on to an ally until you actually use it. So for an example, if I have a Master of Arms, at arms I should say, and I've got a bunch of experience, I could keep spending the experience in order to continue to use their special ability and hang on to them forever, as long as I kept spending experience to use their special ability. If I were somebody who's like the loner, at the end of the act, they're gone. So, for an example here, I'd say, okay, let's put the Master at Arms with the enlist in the King's Army, and then I'm going to flip this on over here, and well, there we got another trait. So, Foundling, right there. So, that's kind of how you're going to go about playing the base of the game. These are the base mechanics of the game. So what's going to happen is once you get 3 cards under your act, so this is the first act here, right? So let's say, as an example, let's say I had forage for food, but so I would have like this. So I would have this under here, and then I've got these like this. Okay? So that's still showing how my character has the experiences that character has had in the first act. So I've got a couple of their heroic. I've got one that's anti-heroic. But now I've got 3 cards under this. That means I'm moving into Act 2. So once you move into a new act, you're still going to have these cards down here for Act 1. But what I would end up doing is, let's say I'm the person who activated that. I was the first one who had 3 cards under their origin. I would actually flip over 4 Act 2 cards. And I'm going to actually be cutting this off. But, so for an example, these are the Act 1 cards. I've got the Act 1 deck, like, over here. So they would actually be down here. I just have them shoved up here so you could see them. So I'm going to pull these down a little bit. And then I'm going to show you the Act 2. Some of the Act 2 cards. So what happens here is the challenges become more difficult. And now we'll start to run across adversaries. So the adversaries are baddies that you're gonna approach in the same exact way as you would a challenge. You're gonna have a number that you need to defeat, and that's how you're gonna play it. Now, some of the adversaries are actually gonna have an effect going on. Let's see if I can find one in here. Here we go. Let's show you the Warlock. So give me an example. There's the Warlock here. So that's a challenge of 6. And you're going to be able to throw runes for intelligence. And you're going to be able to throw runes for wisdom. Which actually, for my character, that'd be pretty good. I'd probably want to go after this adversary. Because I've got the 2 points of wisdom. I've got the point of intelligence. So I'd be being able to add 3 more runes to be able to cast along with my regular runes. But there are adversaries that will actually have an effect on the game while they're in play that they have not been defeated. But you're still going to have the same kind of thing, right? So you're still looking at, it's got like a story up here, a little story icon. It's worth 2 points of triumph, and it's also good for a point in intelligence. It's a challenge of 5. You're going to be using intelligence as well as charisma for this one. So it's either outwit the gang boss or take over the gang. So the benefits of defeating the challenges, depending on if it's heroic or anti-heroic, are going to be different. They're never going to be the same. But what happens is once, say for an example, let's say I was the person who was able to open up Act 2, right? I had the 3 cards under my origin card. Now, let's say the next player only has 2 cards under their origin card on their player board. They can choose either Act 1 or Act 2. Just because they haven't completed the 3 cards under their origin for Act 1 doesn't mean that they have to take Act 1 cards. We'll point out Act 2 is a little more difficult, so you're probably going to see players still sticking with Act 1 until they get past their 3 cards on the origin, but they don't have to. That was something that one of the players, when we were playing the second time, just couldn't understand. I was like, no. They're like, yeah, but I haven't finished up Act 1. It's like, no, it's not really your Act 1. It's just Act 1. So I told them, you can go for Act 2, but it still has to go under the first card. They're like, oh yeah, so it goes under the second card. It's like, no. So the first 3 cards you get, regardless of what act they're in, are going to go under this card here. So eventually what's going to happen is you will have 3 cards under your origin. You're going to have 3 cards under your motivation, and you're going to have 3 cards under your destiny, which, remember, keep in mind, it's going to be face down so other people can't see what it is. So once you've gotten to that point, then everybody's going to get one more turn. So you're going to get one more turn. So once somebody has 9 cards, basically, under these 3 cards total, that's going to activate the end game. Everybody's going to get one more turn, and then you're going to go into scoring. Now, you can only have 3 cards under each of these cards. So, even if I had the 3 cards here, and I went and did an Act 1 card, I wouldn't be able to put that under my origin. It has to go under my motivation here. So, it's just 3 cards, 3 cards, 3 cards. Then that activates the end game. So once you go into the end game, you've got your little tracking sheet here. So you're going to count up your triumph points, your tragedy points, your experience points, your story icons, your hero cards that you've played. Like so. Hero cards that you have played. So this, for an example, that's worth 1 point because I played that. Hey, Vinyl Rabbit's popping in. Howdy, Vinyl Rabbit. So you would get a victory point. Destiny points are what they're called. You would get a destiny point for playing this card. If you have cards that you have not played, hero or anti-hero cards, they are not worth anything. They're only worth something if they have been played. So effectively, this board over here, the cards that are going underneath are what's called your story. This is your story. So the spiritual, the uncover hidden lore, the foraging for food, the various cards that we're going to get. Maybe we'll have like enlist in the King's Army. We got our Master of Arms as an ally. Maybe we had to watch over the city. All these various different cards, they're all going to go and they're going to add up to your story. So once you sit back and you total up all the points, of course, whoever's got the most points at the end is the victor. So what you're also supposed to do at the end of the game, regardless if you've won or lost, is you're supposed to tell your story. You're supposed to use your storyboard, your player board, I should say, and you're supposed to tell a story kind of based on the cards that are part of your storyboard, your player board. Now, the way we were kind of playing it was we actually were making up the story as we were taking the cards. So, for an example, it was like outwitting the gang boss. So if I were going to take on this challenge, I would tell a little bit of the story about the gang boss. And then I would roll to see if I were able to defeat this challenge, if I was able to pass this challenge or not. If you're just playing it and you're not adding this whole little like storytelling aspect to the game, this game is going to be pretty dry for some people. I could see where some people will not like it whatsoever. And I will talk about that in just a moment. But as far as the component quality, I love the artwork. I think the artwork is really, really nicely done. Very, very cool. Very, very cool artwork. So definitely a tip of the cap to Matt Paquette for the artwork for the game. Cardstock is decent. It's not fabulous, but it's not totally flimsy either. I would definitely say you're going to want to sleeve these cards if you're going to have this game at your table quite a bit. I do know for a fact that Brotherwise Games does sell special card sleeves which have the backing, the various different backing on them. So so you can actually sleeve the cards and they have the physical artwork on the backs of the cards. So that's nice. The runes are just plastic. They're plastic, but they are cut and painted, so it's not just like transferred on. So these should hold up. It's just kind of funny to be like throwing runes, right? I'm just so used to like rolling dice, and a lot of times you're supposed to be casting these runes, so you're gonna go like just like bam. Which was a little unusual because, you know, normally you're sitting there like, oh, okay, I'm rolling dice. And what I tend to do is I tend to have a small box top for people to roll the dice in, because for some strange reason, my family and friends don't know how to keep dice on a table. I don't know why. It's always like, wow, off it flies. So I kind of got a kick out of how you're like, you know, just like, bam. So nice quality on these. This is just a typical little plastic insert tray. It's pretty flimsy, but still fairly nice. As you can see here, it got punched in pretty easily. I already pointed out the actual box has a cool insert, so all the cards and stuff go in. Like I said, I thought it was kind of funny that we were getting these plastic experience point tokens. They could have easily just been punchboard cardstock. But that was pretty cool. I liked it. I think that's pretty nice. The player boards are a pretty decent cardstock. Let's get these out of the way here. Let me zoom back out a little bit. There we go. Pretty good stock here. But I don't know. It seems like it's got a little bit of a finish on this side, but not so much this side. This is a little more matte on it. So I would say this is not something that you're going to want to actually accidentally spill anything on. I do not think it would survive unless you got it wiped up like ASAP. But still pretty good. So overall quality of the components is really nice. The rulebook itself is I would say it's not the most intuitive rulebook around, but it's not difficult to understand. It's got a lot of images. It's got a lot of examples in it. It did take me a couple of read-throughs to kind of actually completely catch on, but it wasn't too bad. Talking about here, we're expanding the game. Remember, I said the allies and the adversaries, you don't really add them in until you kind of get an idea how to play the game. Yes, don't play the game while taking a bath. That's correct, Vinyl Rabbits. Yes. Been worried about tearing up the edges of those cardboard casting tokens. Are you talking about these? Because they're not... Yeah, I was going to say, these aren't cardboard. These are plastic. So, the runes are plastic, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm sure, you know, after so much wear and tear, but anyway, the solo game is fine. The cooperative game, you know, I don't know. I gotta be honest. I can't really see... Like I was talking about earlier when we were first starting to talk about kind of the how to play, I don't see the... It's not a cooperative game like people traditionally think of a cooperative game. It's a cooperative game as in you're really not picking on each other. That you're going after an adversary. But it's not like you're really cooperating. So, I don't know. I gotta be honest, I didn't play the co-op version of it because it just didn't really strike me as overly appealing. Now, that being said, if you do have people who kind of get upset with a little take that in their games, you might want to take a look at the co-op. All right, so that is how you play Call to Adventure. What are my thoughts on it? Well, let me grab a sip here and let me catch up with chat a little bit. Oh, Runebound 2nd Edition. Sorry, Nefarious. I must have missed that when you guys were talking about that in chat. Yes, Flaming Huron, that's right. You're not exactly opposing one another. You're kind of just staying out of each other's way and doing your own thing, which kind of has like a Euro-ish game style to it, right? A lot of Euro games, you're kind of just doing your own thing and you really don't take advantage or throw like wrenches into the works of other players. Sort of like that. I mean, there are cards that allow you to kind of help other players or take advantage of things that they have done, but you can do that the same in the competitive version. Everyone playing solo in the co-op game, it seems. Not very co-op. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I would say a little bit. Okay, so anyway, what are my thoughts about the game? Like I said, component quality is really nice. You want to sleeve the cards, though. I like the runes. The plastic runes are cool. I really dig the artwork. I think the artwork is very evocative. I like the mechanics to the game. I think it's kind of interesting that you can go like the side of light and the side of dark, and you can have a little bit of both to kind of make yourself a fairly neutral kind of hero, or maybe just, just even yourself out so you're not just some goody-goody. I like the fact that the game penalizes you if you go too far to the dark, because you're no longer a hero, you're a villain. The point of the game is not to be a villain, it's still to be heroic, but you could be an anti-hero. So I like that aspect of it as well. Mechanically, it's pretty cut and dried. So as I mentioned, that if you're not engaging in the actual storytelling aspect of the game, if you have a hard time kind of thinking on your feet and just making up, a couple of little sentences about what's going on with your character and what's going on with this challenge, you may not like this game so much, because it's very, very random. So it is very possible for your characters to start off with kind of a crappy origin and motivation and destiny that don't mesh up. So you're automatically right behind the 8-ball to start off with. It's possible for you to kind of fall behind. Now, losing a challenge, you never like die or like take damage or anything like that. It's just so you fail and you get an experience point, and then it's the other person's turn. There's no like real detriment to failing a challenge. So some people won't like that there's no cost, there's no risk really involved in failing. You just fail. So there is that. So like I said, I can see this game kind of appealing to some people and not appealing to other people. So because I kind of saw it with one of Cameron's friends at the table. They don't like having to tell stories and stuff like that. It's just, they just want to do their thing. They want to play their turn, and they don't want to have to be overly imaginative. So I could tell he was not digging this game much at all. Plus, it probably didn't help that they kind of got a random start where their hero was like, I don't know, just it didn't have like a good vibe going to that. So if you are somebody who's only going to be sitting there trying to play this game so you can score the most points, you might also find yourself a little bit disappointed, because the game should really be played where it's like, hey, I'm trying to tell a story here, and I'm trying to do something that's going to be a fit for this character I've got in front of me, and make decisions and try to tackle challenges that make sense to the character, as opposed to, oh, well, I am trying to maximize the number of points I'm going to get so that I've got the most points at the end. If you take that approach where you're just looking at points, you're probably going to be a little disappointed as well. As opposed to, hey, I'm kind of playing this as a story, and this is my character, and this and that, you're going to enjoy it much more. So I am going to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, and I'm telling you right now, mileage may vary depending on the sort of gamer you are. I actually give Call to Adventure an 8.1. I like it. I think, like I said, for those of you out there who do not like a lot of randomness, and if you're going to just approach this as, hey, I'm just getting points, how do I score points, get points, you might actually drop the score down a little bit. Maybe a point, maybe even more than a point. But for me personally, I'm a storyteller anyway. I'm a game master for years. So I didn't find it too hard to just kind of pull stuff, I was going to say out of my, but I didn't find it that difficult to pull things out of the air to be able to utilize in the game itself. So for $39.95, I think there's quite a bit of gameplay in here, especially when you take into account that you've also got the solitaire as well as the co-op, if you want to play that co-op. All right, let's see. So the solo game is ultimately just a high score point collection. Yeah, you're gonna have an adversary that you're gonna pull out, and you're gonna attempt to fight. Am I sure it's not an 8.075? No, Vinyl Rabbit. Although Vinyl Rabbit yesterday was predicting I was going to give this game a 7.5, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Solitaire is kind of the same thing. You're just kind of taking on these challenges. You will have a card. I should mention, I forgot to mention this. Your co-op or your Solitaire, right? So you got solo mode. You've got 2-player co-op. You've got the 3-player co-op and the 4-player co-op. And what you do is you actually will put this under the adversary card. And it's just, you're basically trying to prevent the adversary from getting experience points. And the adversary gets to play their adversary cards, so they have like a negative effect. So it's not just you going through the same paces as when you're playing the competitive version of the game. So there are some extra wrinkles to it. So it's not just simply I'm by myself approaching the game like you do with 3 or 4 players. Okay, so all right, so that is it. Now, as I mentioned, I'm kind of on vacation next week because I have to actually pet sit the menagerie of animals over at my brother's and my sister-in-law's house. So what I'm going to do is over the weekend, I am going to actually film my review for Clutch Baseball. Now, this is the 2018 edition of Clutch Baseball's one-player starter set. So I am going to actually shoot my review, and I'm going to actually upload it for Monday. So you'll have a Monday show. It just won't be live. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no show. Not sure about Friday. Kind of up in the air. If there is a Friday show, I will be unboxing and taking a first look at Robotech Crisis Point from Solar Flare Games and Harmony Gold. This is an officially licensed Robotech game. This is actually the second story arc in Robotech, the Southern Cross story arc. So that is going to be on the next live show. So, just so you know. All right. Anyway, that is it for tonight's show. As I always like to point out, when you're not watching The Daily Dope or checking out videos on the Gaming Gang channel, please visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. By now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. As I like to point out too, be sure to give a thumbs up if you like the video. If you like the channel, please subscribe. And of course, tell a friend. So enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Have a great weekend. Have a very, very safe weekend. You'll see me on Monday, but I won't see any of you folks until at earliest next Friday. So enjoy the coming days ahead. I will return. And as always, thank you very much for joining me in chat. And thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.